everyone, welcome to Pocket Sized Play. We're a tabletop role-playing game podcast about short, compelling actual play. I'm Tim.
I'm Tert.
I'm Timothy.
And I'm Sapphire.
Awesome. So we are continuing our Beyond the Wall low fantasy campaign. I say low fantasy, but I have a feeling that we're about to get high fantasy really quickly. This is our fourth session. We're going to be picking up right where we left off. So let's do a quick recap to catch up our listeners. It's an auspicious night in the village of Norfer, where the forest to the south has let loose to all manner of spirits and beasts. It's as if they're like fleeing, and the village boundary is not holding them back. So, we got Sam, the practical woodsman and tanner, who has sought out his father Jack in the cabin near the forest. Meanwhile, Ellie, the whimsical witch's apprentice and herbalist, and also Joslynn, the brilliant self-taught mage and innkeeper's daughter, just chased after a forest spirit through the kitchen of the village inn. Then all hear the bellowing roar from the mammoth creature now approaching at the forest edge. We're inside the, I want to say modest, but I have a feeling that this log cabin is a work of craftspersonship. A beautiful, if austere, sturdy wooden structure. So Sam is in there, Jack is in there. There's a single lantern that's was kind of hastily lit on the floor where folks are comforting each other with the sounds going on outside and huddled around that warmth. Like, what is one thing that we see that we know that, like, this is your home? Like, this is a familiar place to you?
You see my family, all looking very much like me. There's a couple of skins hanging on the wall.
I don't know, maybe there's your first skin that you ever caught and tanned, you know?
Yeah.
A tawny little rabbit, something that you'd be very proud of at a young age, but now it's just a tiny scrap of fur hanging up in the rafters.
Yeah.
So Jack has, he told you to come in. He is just concerned with keeping everyone safe, and he talks of building a boundary around the cabin in the way that old stories say that boundaries exist around the villages. To build that around the cabin so that there's a safe place during this storm of sorts.
That sounds like a great idea, Dad. You keep the family safe. I need to make sure nothing happens to the other people in the village. This giant beast wandering in here, and I really worry about what kind of destruction it might cause.
Keep them safe, son. If you see anyone lost, if you see anyone ailing, bring them to the cabin. It may be the only safe place for right now. And lightning flashes in the back behind him, and he steps through the doorway.
I come out right behind him, grab Ku and jump on top of him. Kind of do the whole rearing thing, just holding Ku still while I'm still talking. Yeah. I'll be back soon.
You do see that silhouette just on the edge of the forest. You see those large antlers rise above the trees. That's as much as you can see in the shadow from the full moon. It roars is not the right word. Bellows, perhaps. It's just a loud, resounding, as it lets out that noise. All the feathers on Ku ruffle, and you feel them, up against your skin. And it takes a step forward and is heading toward the farmland. So we're in the village inn, the Inn of the Feathered Lizard, of course. Not just the inn, but in the kitchen of it. And Joz and Ellie had just sort of fallen on top of each other. There was a retrieval of a crystal for Ellie and a lot of chasing and running around. And Ellie, that crystal that Joss is holding is shining bright between the two of you, kind of lighting up her face a bit and her hair.
I'm just snuggling and into Joss as much as I possibly can with just gratitude. I'm not even noticing the crystal or or anything. I'm just in this little, slightly altered state of like bliss, which is part moonweed, part liquor, part just adoration.
I've got the crystal, and I just take a minute to weave it back into your hair.
But you're sitting close to where all the dishes, those thick earthenware dishes that the food is served on, those are stacked, and you see them jump on each other and clatter as you hear that same bellow from quite far away from the village, but it's that and things shake. And you hear Lady Cine, you hear her two attendees call out, and they say, "Something's on the move!" And there you hear footsteps running through the main hall.
Shit, Joss, did you hear that? I try to stand up, but I'm a bit wobbly and fall over again.
Maybe just get a piggyback ride on my back.
Yes!
You see a shape barely silhouetted on the edge of the forest. It's a bit too far. And there's a very faint shout that you can pick up. "Ellie! Ellie! You need to come to the village!" And it's Tert's voice, and it's far away. It sounds like it's probably running toward the treehouse or something. And there's a little green fox-like creature at the corner of your eyes that is jumping around as a pair of deer come bounding past it, and then you hear the oinking of a wild boar just following behind there. That little green forest spirit that Jaws you freed from those militia folk just earlier that day is dancing on the edge of your vision, kind of toward that center of town.
Well, I'm assuming we didn't have mushrooms tonight.
There was no mention of that earlier.
So I climb down on Joss's back and kind of look around and just, take it in and say to Joss, I'm like, we need to find Sam. And I take off towards the forest.
This all feels really magically weird, what's going on. And maybe I can get help from that fox spirit to make whatever's happening stop.
I'm running pretty fast and swiftly besides my inebriation. I'm determined. It's a moment of high stress and I've just complete adrenaline's kicked in.
Yeah. As you're running quickly like that, we see the shots of more and more of those deer swiftly running in that opposite direction. You have these animals with a cause just moving with the wind. You're moving toward them, and there's a small herd of about 6 or so of them, kind of right in front of you. So let's do a skill check for dexterity to get you there safely. And there's a lot going on. We'll just do a -2 penalty for your skill for that.
It's a 6. Yeah, so I'm running at a low run. But, dodging creatures. So there's a log somewhere, duck underneath it, wait for them to pass, jump up over, somersault over the back of one, jump on another, kind of hop from one animal to the other, and then they're larger, and underneath between the legs of another one. And, eventually hit the edge of the village.
For Joslynn, so the creature, it's playing hide and seek in probably the worst possible time because it appears at the edge of your vision. You see it clearly there, and as you turn, it's disappeared. You see it somewhere else now. There's that cairn that we haven't talked about yet. It's in the center of the town, just north of the road where any traveler would pass by. And the cairn is a pile of rocks. Every time a person has passed away or experienced a great sadness or a great happiness, there's a rock placed there for that. It's a sizable pile, though, so this is a village that has had a lot of sorrows and a lot of blessings, too. And that's where you see it perched up on top, and it's staring intently at you with little beady black eyes, green fur on its face, bristling a bit. So Sam, the giant creature, it's bursting out of the forest. It's running toward the farmland. What are you doing?
I'm scanning the area, looking at the path of this giant and seeing if there are any people first who would be in its path who might be harmed if it came their way, but also what kind of structures and buildings would be there, because there might be people inside and there might also be some damage.
You actually see it's taken out a chunk of Ellie's treehouse. I'm sorry, Ellie. It's fleeing the forest, and it's fleeing right toward Arcee's farm. You know that for a fact. That's where Ku is normally stabled. And from that, it would be heading straight toward the inn. I mean, the inn is the center of the town. You're guessing probably beelining, because it's not looking to the left. It's not looking to the right. And there's people around, too. There's a figure standing out in the farmland. It might be Tert. You can't really tell. He's just sort of out in the middle of a field shouting right now. So what do you do?
My first thought is to get anyone who is in the way to safety. And this person standing in the middle of the field seems like it's the closest. So I'll see if I could ride up towards him.
As you're within shouting range, you see that the creature, this big moose that's taller than a barn, has taken steps forward. And it's standing, a stone's throw from Tert right now. Tert is not standing too far from Arcee's farm. And he's shouting and he's holding something sharp and long, like some old broadsword from a forgotten war that no one knows how to use. And he's shouting obscenities at this creature for having, for what he did to Ellie.
Tert, get away from there.
You monster! Bring her back! And he's beside himself.
Tert, Ellie's safe. We spent the night in town. It's fine.
So he turns around and sees you at this point. His face is white. It looks like he was, tears were falling. And he says, Wait, where is she? And the beast takes another step. And it's stepping closer and closer.
I think she's at the inn. Make sure she's safe.
He's trying to take in that information, but he's just following your lead.
Yeah.
Ellie, I think you can see this in the distance now. Yeah. You are running toward Tert, and you might see Sam's figure up on Ku, and you definitely see what looks like a giant demon moose that stands taller than a barn, just far too close to where they're standing.
Sam, Tert, get out of there. So my crystal's glowing pretty brightly, and I've got this little light bulb moment where I'm like, perhaps I could distract it with the shiny crystal. The other spirits liked it.
So the creature is now bounding. At a certain point, Tert looks behind and sees it, and when he turns back to you, his eyes are big, and he's running, and he barrels off to the side. There's I think bales of hay, and he's rushing along that, and the thing just thunders past him, and as it turns, it's taking a swipe out of this farmhouse. I think it's probably Arcee's there, and it's beelining toward the village, toward you. What's the plan here?
So I want to grab my braid with my crystal, and I'm just like, oi, move, and trying to distract it with this pink, magenta, sparkly crystal, just glowing really brightly. So I'm jumping around and running, kind of trying to keep pace. Yeah.
Please roll a intelligence check, and definitely -5 for that.
So can you roll for me, Tor?
Yeah, got a 17.
I might use a fortune point.
6.
The eye is as long as your arm, and it's yellow, and it glows like it's absorbing the moonlight and shining it right back at you. It looks at you, you see it blink slowly, and it's zeroing in on you, it's coming at you, staring at that light. What do you do?
And run.
So Joslynn, that little green fox sprite standing atop the cairn and it's staring at you. What are you doing?
Well, I need for it to recognize me, right? I really don't know if it can see in the dark. I know I can't really see that well, so I'm gonna make some light appear on the end of my staff to kind of illuminate myself, like daylight.
Equivalence to full daylight would call for a -5 penalty. Beautiful. So let's do that roll.
With a -5, that's still good.
I mean, it sounds a bit blinding. I mean, if it's as strong as the sun, you have this source of light on you that is probably too bright to look at.
So I kind of hold it up, above my head so that the light kind of, shines all around and you don't have to look through that to see me.
The creature's not looking anywhere but at you. Its head is tilted just a bit, and kind of like those creatures before, you hear it in a chirping noise. Mo 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 do ko ko mo mo do mo ko do mo, and it's kind of puzzled looking at you. There's something personal going on there. You can't quite parse out what it's trying to communicate, unless you want to do a wisdom skill check. Okay, you rolled a 1.
I rolled a 1.
Okay, so think about the spells that you know and how you learned them.
Yeah.
Like, what is it like to discover some sort of new magic like that?
For me, understanding magic is a lot like, discovering mathematical relationships and optimizations and things like that. It's sort of like discovering calculus, so to speak.
It's like there's the synchronicity of all the other animal noises that you've been hearing from the forest. Like perhaps the wavelengths that those travel on are now interacting with the voice of this little green fox that's there, such that you start picking up not words but feelings and emotions from these animals coming from that forest. And with that, the forest sprite stops and they go back to just being animal noises you can't quite tell, but you can pull from that knowledge of there's a meaning to the way that these animals speak. And so this is the cantrip Beast Ken. With that, it cocks its head and scampers down each stone, one stone after another. Sam, you're on coup.
Yes.
You see the beast. You see Tert jump out of the way. You probably hear him moaning. I mean, he sounds like he, broke a rib or something. He's calling out. He's like, oh! And then you see the moose's head turn, because from the middle of town is a light as bright as daylight. So Sam, what are you doing?
So my plan is to race ahead of it and then come up with a plan for how to redirect it. Kind of do a as close circle as possible, just without actually running under its legs. Just get ahead of it. Just think later. Need to act.
So you run ahead just a bit. I mean, Tert is underneath you, and he's calling out. He's like, I can't. Is she okay? And he's like clutching. He's kind of like sprawled over a bale of hay right now. And Ellie, this moose was following you. Then it stopped following you. It's going toward the center of town, where you see something so bright, like a sun landed in the middle of town. You did keep it from going straight through everything, though, so you definitely diverted it a little bit, but it's still heading into town now, and it's not on your tail, so you're not about to get trampled. So, Ellie, what are you doing?
Oh, shit. Looking at this thing that's just heading straight to the middle of town, I'm like, the only thing that can make that kind of light is spirit, or Joss has gone all new level of mage on me.
Awesome. And you can make out Sam just to the south a bit too, and Tert also has moaned. And yeah, there's that light. I think you know who made the light. So what do you want to do?
I want to try and do an entanglement spell and go for some kind of like blackberry vine.
If you can chase it and keep up that pace, you could. It's a spell that you have to be near the thing.
I'm very ambitious.
Awesome. So those hooves are nearby. Each like the top of the legs reach, above your head. So that is in front of you as you're running as fast as you can. And you see those toward the town in front of you. All right, so that's the intelligence. We'll do -5 because it's really difficult to cast a spell and sprint.
Yeah. I rolled a 5.
You said blackberry thorns. I think those definitely, you have those bushes growing behind, behind little sheds, little abandoned areas. You see the thorns just snaking along the ground. And it's reaching up around its hooves, and it pulls away and it grabs back at it, and it pulls away and it grabs back at it. It's like swatting a fly. Those hooves are coming down right in front of you, just boom, boom, and it's turning around trying to figure the source of it. So you see its head rear back, and there's the silhouette of those huge antlers with the moon behind. Its eyes are glowing yellow, and it is pissed. So Joslynn, the little forest fox is now running off to the north. It doesn't want to be to the south. It's running away. And there are people, and you see the jackal finally lumber out of his place. He has a saber, like some exotic curved sword that he probably picked up from faraway travels. You see that glinting, and he's shouting, and he sees you. And he calls out, "Jaws!" And he's pissed, and he's waving it around. You see Lady Cine and her attendees rushing out toward the center too. You're kind of the focus of attention here with your daylight surrounding you. What are you doing?
This is absolutely the first time I've ever made a light this bright. And I didn't probably even know that I really did it. And now I'm like realizing for the first time, in this high adrenaline night, I made sun, and I'm like, shit. And then suddenly, my attention is like, okay, I know exactly what to do. And I know that I can make this moose go away. I can talk to this moose. I know that I can, right? And I see the brandishing of the sword by the jackal, and I see Lady Cine, and both of those images to me are just abhorrent, right? These guys are going to fuck it up, right? And I know that. I think I just turn around with my bright light, and I just shine it at them, right? And I'm just like, stop what you're doing. I've got this.
Oh, Lady Cine is there, and she says, "Little girl." You two, grab the staff. She's drawing attention, and she swiftly turns around, and those two people who had been following her advance toward you with their hands out to grab your staff. She's running toward the creature. So those two, they've been pretty nondescript. Remember, they're like 14, 15-year-old boys who were conscripted into this. They actually don't have weapons on them. They're both coming toward you with their hands out, trying to grab that staff. And you see the jackal out of the corner of your eye, and he winks. And what do you do?
Can I make it to the moose before Lady Cine does?
You can try to dodge them and then try to outpace her, yeah?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do.
Let's do dexterity. -2. I mean, you have the advantage. You have that bright light that's a little distracting, so...
That should do it.
Phew. That was close. Remember when the jackal threw that knife earlier?
Yeah.
There's that familiar whizzing through the air, and as you're diving underneath him, you see one of them's eyes just looks surprised, and then a gunk, and it's that dagger, but the hilt hit that one right on the head, and he slumps into the other one who's now trying to stumble to, stand up straight, and you're able to whoosh right by between them.
Oh yeah, I got my buddy helping me.
Yeah, you got the jackal there. He has your back. That's what the wink is for. But Lady Cine, I mean, she has a head start on you, and I mean, she's bounding over there. You can probably get there at the same time as her.
Yeah, so I'm running, and in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna talk to this moose, and I'm conflicted about whether I'm just gonna tell it to stop or whether I'm gonna tell it to eat Lady Cine. That's what's going on in my mind. So we'll see what happens when I get there. Can I trip her?
Sure, that sounds fun. Okay, so you're already running. You dodged past them, but you're trying to use the staff to swipe at her legs to make her fall?
Yeah, seems like the right thing to do. Until she gets up and tries to hack me into pieces, but yeah.
To do strength minus 2 penalty, because it's hard to poke staff at someone.
Well, that's exactly what I needed.
Oh, you got an 8, yeah. There we go. So she face plants, so face down into the cold earth there. You're just behind her with the bright staff. You hear some shouting from behind you of those 2 attendees who are now, running to catch up. And the look she gives you as she turns around is just death. I mean, she is just beyond furious. So
right, and as I'm running past her, I say, I said I've got this.
So let's just get a quick check-in where you two are.
I'm just running. I'm still running, and I'm just thinking, what? I
mean, kind of keeping the tail behind the beast as it ran off, and then this whole entanglement thing happened. I'll just ride straight past, just go straight towards Joslynn.
So, Josh, I feel like this showdown was just meant to be from the beginning.
Yeah, that's been brewing.
All right, her initiative is 3. Okay, cool. So she goes first. So she is chucking a spear at you, Joslynn, because that's kind of the last straw. That is an 8 plus 2, which is 10, which is equal to or higher your armor class of 10. Sorry. So her throwing spear is 1d8. Let me roll damage for that.
I could die.
No.
And that is 8.
I leveled and got 8 hit points. So I'm at 0.
And so you have a window for like medical attention more or less before you're out, or spending a fortune point stabilizes it at 0 so that you're out, but you're not actively dying.
I'll spend it.
No. This is serious.
Oh yeah, I think she pegs me right in the chest. I think I'm holding on by a thread.
Yeah. She threw that from, kind of crouched laying down, and so she gets up and stands over you, and your light from that bright daylight has gotten dimmer and dimmer, and then the faintest glimmer possible. Why do you always get in the way, girl? And she shakes her head, and she looks around, and there's just those 2 attendees running, and she says, "We need to rid this village of this foul beast. We'll attend to the girl shortly."
If she's spending time looking down over the girl, I'm come racing at her on coup. I'm flipping out my axe, flipping it around my hand so the blunt side is facing out. And right as I'm getting close to her, I'm shouting at her, "You piece of filth!" And I'm going to club her in the head.
I've never seen Sam this angry, ever. I'm just, I'm taken back, like, Sam's angry, Joss on the ground with a spear, like, sticking out of there, like, I'm overwhelmed, and I just...
There's raspy breathing sounds coming from a hole in my chest.
Yeah.
I just ignore Lady Cine and I just go straight down to Joss, tender wounds.
So Sam hit her, yeah.
That's a 4. I'm definitely going to reroll that. Come on. Yes!
Yeah.
Beautiful. So that's a hit. That's the last of your fortune points. Yes. And your hand axe is D6 damage. You're welcome to roll that.
It's a 5.
Awesome. Ellie, herbal attention.
Alright, so I'm paying some medical attention to Joss, stopped the bleeding, packed on some herbs.
I imagine there's some little flowers in there too. So it's these pretty little things in a circle around there. And it's enough to see a flutter in Joslynn's eyes. So we're giving you 1 hit point, Joslynn, for not being on the brink of death.
I'm laying there on the ground, right? I'm going to use my beastkin cantrip and just make as loud of a moose sound as I can. Go back. There's only death here.
It talks back to you. To everyone else, while it's still held up in thorns, up in the air, and it says, "More terrifying danger. We flee. I care not for you."
What is so dangerous in the forest? What's more dangerous than Lady Cine?
Old. The stone speaks of something. You're building it, and it is terror. And it's now clawing at the ground, and it's trying to free itself.
Just, go your way, but try not to walk through our town. We'll try to hold off these evil persons while you get away.
It says it will come for you if you stay. The moose is free. It's no longer entangled. Sam, you see Lady Cine coming for you, but then the moose changes directions. The back of it smacks into the corner of the inn, and the inn creaks, but it's okay. And Lady Cine is running toward it, and the hoof is coming down, and she's stabbing at it, and she's knocked off to the ground.
I'm in an angry rage, so I'm just kind of flying after Lady Cine with full rage and hate. So I've never hated anyone this much in my life. I mutter a hex at Lady Cine.
Okay.
So I hex her, and I see a deer coming out of the bushes, and I say, "Deer, hit!" And the deer just launches its full weight directly into Lady Cine and knocks her flat into the dirt.
That's just normal wisdom hexing, so get that over with.
Casual hexing and 8. Little bit of a deer hex. Sorry, dear, it's not personal.
Yeah, we see a moment where you probably could have been close enough to maybe even scratch at her or push her, but instead, you stop in your tracks and you meet eyes with a deer that's running in, and it barrels into Lady Cine as she's running, and I think we just cut and we hear an awful crunch noise. And with a very bloody end, we'll wrap up the session. All right. So, hey, everyone. Thank you for playing. This was Pocket Sized Play. You can talk to us on Twitter at Pocket Sized Play, or you can check out the Gauntlet Gaming community at gauntlet-rpg.com. Goodbye, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.